If your vegetable, tomato, cucumber, eggplant, or pepper blooms beautifully but the flowers fall off instead of turning into fruit, they have probably not been pollinated. This often happens in polytunnels where pollinating insects do not have sufficient access or, as in my case with the eggplant example, native insects are not interested in pollinating a foreign thorny flower. Lack of pollination, despite the development of flowers, may also be caused by too little pollen or poor germination. Then you have to get down to work yourself and pollinate the flowers. A great method is to use an electric toothbrush. We pollinate the plant by touching the flowers one by one with a brush and thus transferring the pollen. The vibrations of the toothbrush simulate the natural behavior of bees or bumblebees, which makes the method more effective than without vibrations. Pollen falls abundantly from the flower introduced into vibration. You can also use a regular brush with soft bristles for this purpose. In this method, the open flowers are touched with a brush, transferring pollen from flower to flower. A Q-tip may also be helpful. But these methods are not as effective as with the additional introduction of vibrations. It is worth pollinating flowers every day, in warm and dry weather. After pollination, we increase the humidity under the foils so that the pollen sticks better to the pistil, which facilitates its germination. For example, a tomato, you don't even have to touch the flower, just place the brush behind the flower and turn it on. The vibration releases pollen and causes it to fall onto the pistil, fertilizing the flower, and producing fruit a few weeks later. Tomato stamens are fused into a tube covering the pistil. The pistil is enclosed in a tube made of interconnected stamens. Most pollinating insects, such as honeybees, hoverflies, and butterflies, cannot penetrate the flower to pollinate it. Instead, it sort of self-pollinates. It must be shaken to release the pollen and fall onto the pistil. Sometimes a gust of wind is enough to pollinate a tomato flower, but fruit set is much better when visited by an insect that specializes in buzz pollination, also called sonication. Usually it is a bumblebee. Bumblebees pollinate better than bees. The bumblebee clings to the flower, often hanging upside down, and begins to vibrate with its flight muscles. This is the vibration that releases the pollen, ensuring fertilization. In fact, bumblebees are so good at buzz pollination that commercial tomato growers release them into their greenhouses to ensure optimal harvests. Some solitary bees are also good pollinators, but not honey bees. Bees also cannot cope in closed rooms, they crash into walls and become disoriented. Bumblebees, on the other hand, are quite the opposite. There may not be many pollinators in your area. There may be several reasons why bumblebees and solitary bees do not visit flowers. Sometimes it happens in cities, on balconies or roofs, or you killed them with insecticide spray. You can't use pesticides when you want to attract bumblebees. Some animals such as cats also eat bumblebees as if they were candy. However, the fault may also lie with the bumblebees themselves. They are very reluctant to go outside on rainy days or when it is very hot. In such situations, pollination with a toothbrush can be very helpful. Visit the flowers between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. when the pistil is most open. Of course, you can also buy a special pollination device, but a regular electric toothbrush is equally effective and much cheaper. Of course, an electric toothbrush is not always the solution to tomato waste. There are also factors that you have no control over. If the temperature stays above 30 degrees Celsius during the day and 24 degrees Celsius at night, tomato plant stops its development. The only thing you can do is wait for lower temperatures to return, which will allow the fruit to set again. If you live in an area where summers are always hot, you may be interested in growing tomatoes known for their extra heat tolerance, such as Florida 91, Heat Master, Somerset and Solar Flare. If the air is extremely dry, the pollen will dry out while forming and will not stick to the pistil, which is a problem in regions with arid climates. When the air is very humid, the pollen may be alive, but it tends to stick together and therefore will not fall easily onto the stamen. This is where vibrating an electric toothbrush can be helpful, but it probably won't provide perfect dusting. Other plants that require buzz and vibration pollination are those in the Solanaceae, tomato family, eggplants, peppers, etc., because they have the same stamen tube and hidden pistil and require the same pollination. Eggplants in particular often seem to need some help, even if they grow outdoors. Therefore, visiting your vegetable patch frequently with a toothbrush can be very helpful.